Hey, Awakening Truthers. I'm going to hit little paradise here again. I'm doing a little preamble to the piece I just put together. This is a picture just from the other day of the buttes in the Sierras of paradise. And people are saying it's divine inspiration, divine intervention, whatever. Paradise is going to be okay. The heavens are telling us. But they really don't understand what geoengineering is and how geoengineering is changing the course of everything. There's been many days of chem fog over paradise to hide it. And do you know there is a Paradise, Nevada, and this Paradise, Nevada, incorporates Las Vegas, and it was set up as kind of a tax shelter so the city of Las Vegas wouldn't be able to collect taxes. So I found that very interesting that Las Vegas is really Paradise, Nevada. Who would have thought? All right, let's get into Rebuild Paradise. So I want to get into this article from NPR, National Public Radio, which is funded by the Ford Foundation. Who do they represent? Reimagining Paradise, making plans to rebuild a town destroyed by, quote, wildfire. No, this was a genocide attack, folks. March 7th, 2019, they're holding a town planning meeting. Last fall's deadly campfires brought renewed questions about whether towns in high-risk areas like Paradise, California should even be rebuilt. Barry Long, who was Barry Long, recently tried to squash those questions immediately as he kicked off a crowded town hall meeting at Paradise Alliance Church. When was the meeting? Who was Barry Long? Doesn't say. One of the first questions we get is, are they really going to rebuild Paradise, Long said. And we say that's not a question. Council made an immediate decision, we're going to rebuild Paradise. No, the council didn't make a decision. As I chronicled and showed before, the few hundred people that showed up to the Paradise Town Council meeting were told by the mayor that their hands were tied because FEMA has $1.5 billion they're holding over their heads if they don't comply with FEMA, and they kicked everybody who had mobile homes on their properties off and are not allowing them back in their property. This is after they were locked down. The whole Paradise was locked down for a month after the attacks, and no one was allowed in. But PG&E was allowed in. Department of Homeland Security was there. NSA was there weeks before. FEMA's got a huge camp they set up before the event even happened. So Long's firm is Urban Design Associates, which was hired by the town council to develop a long-term plan for Paradise. They began holding meetings, the latest scheduled for March 19th. I suggest everybody in the Paradise, Chico areas and other areas, let's crash this meeting and let's unclose and disclose who these people are who are rebuilding Paradise. It has nothing to do with the people of Paradise. Many people had to leave Paradise, about 90% of the town. Now, they said the official story is 52,000 people escaped and only 85 people died. 19,000 structures were destroyed. Well, as I showed in a video a couple weeks ago, the first town council meeting about what was going to happen to the people's properties, 3 months after the event, a few hundred people showed up. Now, 52,000 people evacuated, and you're going to find out what happened to your home 3 months later, even though you're scattered across the country. You would have been at that town council meeting, and there was no more than a few hundred. No more than. Where did the people go, folks? But few who do remain are eager to begin rebuilding. Long sought to give them assurances. You just can't abandon a community that's been a fixture of the Sierra Nevada since the 1800s, he said. Right. It took 140 years to build Paradise, and obviously things did survive, like the church here. Yeah, like the Freemason building, like the Kmart, like the Adventist church, the Adventist hospital. But the other local businesses were all destroyed. 11,000 structures. Urban Design Associates consulted for the state of Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina. Capitalize on disasters, disaster capitalism. Same thing happened out here in Santa Rosa. James Lee Witt comes out to rebuild North Bay, former FEMA director for Clinton, who has disaster capital company Brian Witt under Secor, and they make money on disaster capitalism. They made, I think, $16 million in the fourth quarter of 2017 on Hurricane Katrina. Profit from the disaster. Once Paradise is rebuilt, there is resounding agreement they'll have much tougher fire buildings codes, and that won't be cheap. Oh, we need to build affordable living in our home back, said resident. Now here, and then goes on. Paradise was a haven for retirees and others who couldn't afford the city or just wanted to live in the country. Like a lot of western towns, it grew too quickly without a lot of planning and scant zoning. Bullshit. Mobile home parks, tract houses, fast food restaurants were packed into overgrown forest. No, that's not true at all. Paradise is not going to be the same it was, as Judy Jones, the town mayor, says. Uh, Jones and other town officials insist they're trying to rebuilding smarter, they say. They're going to rebuild. There's that word, smarter. Smart trains, smart homes, smartphones. It's smart for the people controlling us, folks. It's stupid for the rest of us. That's why they call it smart. Now, I don't know that I can give any assurances, but it's going to be gentrified. Now, folks, the word gentrification is something you should all be aware of. The word gentrification means is a process of renovating deteriorated urban neighborhoods by means of the influx of more affluent residences. Gentrification means of the influx of more affluent residences. This is a common and controversial topic in politics and urban planning, gentrification. The good news is that Paradise has time to get it right. The scale of disaster is enormous. Even just cleaning it up and removing all hazardous debris could take more than 1 year. Now, they've already been out for 4 months, and they're talking about a year. So you're talking over a year and a half. These people are going to have to live other places before they can start to rebuild. Now, they put up poster boards, and this is how they get the students involved to make the kids, hey, the schools are involved. Third-year architect student put up poster boards showing architectural renderings of energy-efficient and, quote, fire-wise municipal buildings, proposed a redesign for wider street grids for safer evacuations. Remember, they had an evacuation drill the year before in Paradise, so they knew how many people were trying to get out. And neighborhoods are drawn with more cleared-out open space between smaller, modern, and up-to-code homes as they change the codes. We're trying to figure out different ways to rearrange the town so it better suits the inhabitants and brings new people to Paradise. Yeah, the affluent. They're calling it Reimagined Paradise. Isn't that sweet of them? Affordability and gentrification are some of the most heated topics emerging in the town's preliminary discussions so far. So you can see where this is going. It's going towards the Agenda 21. But now I want to get into a little bit of how they're just coordinating all this. In Santa Rosa, when they had after the fires, about the summer after the fires, they had Urban Inferno, and they showed a movie called Urban Inferno. So they're making this word urban into a super big deal. And then we had Sonoma County Strong, as they were saying, Sonoma County Strong is we got to rebuild, and Sonoma County Strong shirts came out, and all these signs came up, build, rebuild, Sonoma County Strong t-shirts, and everything was made. Well, the same damn exact thing happened after the Butte fires. We saw Rebuild Butte Strong, and the brewery company, Sierra Brewing, came out with a resilience beer. Butte Strong was their motto. How did they know to use the same exact language as they used out in the Santa Rosa area in Sonoma? Sonoma Strong, Paradise Strong, Butte Strong. It's all by design. Now let's take a look at the word urban. Urban in etymology, which is the root of words, is, quote, characteristic of city life pertaining to cities or towns, 1610s. From Latin urbanus, of pertaining to a city or city life. In Rome. See, folks, it's all connected back to Rome. So then we have the players involved with Urban Design Associates. So who's Urban Design Associates? Is an international urban design and architecture firm, international, headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All right, so let's get into the players at Urban Design Institute. Donald K. Carter, Remaking Cities Institute, Remaking Cities. Don Carter is David Lewis, Director of Urban Design and Regional Engagement of Remaking Cities Institute at Carnegie Mellon University. Prior to joining CMU in 2009, he was president of Urban Design Associates in Pittsburgh for 36 years. He's a fellow of the AIA, a fellow of American Institute of Certified Planners, a member of the Congress for the New Urbanism, CNU, and a member of the Urban Land Institute. Would anybody in Paradise call Paradise urban? Don has lectured internationally on urban design and architecture and authored the opening chapter of Synergy City. You ever heard of Synergy City? Well, you're going to hear about it more. Reinventing the Post-Industrial City. Post-Industrial City. Reinventing. His newest book is Remaking Post-Industrial Cities, Lessons from North America and Europe, documenting 10 case studies and common themes of the International Remaking Cities Congress that he co-chaired in 2013. He earned a Bachelor of Architecture degree from CMU and did a postgraduate study in urban design and regional planning at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. Next up is David Lewis, urban design pioneer, now 90 years old. As a whole, David Lewis, founder of the community-based Urban Design Associates, professor emeritus at Carnegie Mellon University of Architecture, heavily involved in shaping the city of Pittsburgh. Oh, how beautiful that town is. Lewis had the huge influence of urban design and architecture of the city of Pittsburgh, contributing to a variety of projects ranging from neighborhood development to master plans to historic preservation. He's the champion of the field of urban design. He established one of the first urban design graduate programs. UDA has worked all over the country creating master plans for Norfolk, Virginia, also building homes with the post-Katrina. He worked to earn the Athena Award from Congress for the New Urbanism in 2007. And then there is Raymond Gindras, co-founder and principal emeritus at UDA. He leads the efforts to revitalize cities and is recognized for reviving the use of pattern books as a tool for neighborhood building. He was chair of the Inner City Task Force. Why is an Inner City Task Force going to paradise? Of the Congress for the New Urbanism, and currently a member of its board of directors. He's also vice chair of the board of the Seaside Institute, member of the Institute of Classical Architecture, blah, 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 and also the Western European Foundation. The Urban Design Handbook and the Architectural Pattern Book, after earning a bachelor and master degrees in architecture with honors from Carnegie Mellon, he got a diploma from the Centro per gli Studio di Architecture in Vicenza, Italy, of all places. All right, so let's take a look at the overall agenda and how ICLEI and the local governments have been taken over by a worldwide network based out of Bonn, Germany. ICLEI, the Global Cities Network, we are a powerful movement of 12 megacities, 100 super cities and urban regions, 450 large cities, 450 small and medium-sized cities and towns in 84 countries dedicated to sustainable development from the ICLEI. ICLEI stands for the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. International Council, folks, for local initiatives. See how far the tentacles go in this octopus? It was created as a non-governmental spin-off by the United Nations in 1990, right when they did Agenda 21. Locally across the world, it's a membership organization for cities. We're not included in that membership. 7,807 worldwide as of 2012. Now, they're headquartered in Bonn, Germany, which is a lobbying and policy group that's intended to influence and change local government policies from Bonn, Germany, to Santa Rosa, to Paradise, California. It designs and sells systems that monitor, report, and control water and energy use. What are we having out here in California? Power problems, flood controls. See how it works? This information is then shared. Who's it shared with? By concentrating power in cities, this group circumvents requirements for ratification of international treaties and gives the illusion of local control. ICLEI is structured as a parallel government, but has no transparency because it is a private nonprofit. Just like academia, Blackwater, the military, the military arm of the private forces, they're under a corporation. Nobody gets held accountable because that's how they rule and protect themselves. In fact, the cities then ally in regional conglomerates which break jurisdictional boundaries and will destroy local control. These regional boards are unelected and not answerable to the citizenry. Ultimately, this facilitates global governance by invalidating individual cities, countries, states, and nations. Again, invalidating individual cities, countries, states, and nations with agreements and interwoven systems to which they are bound by contract in their public and private partnerships. This is how they roll. Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 with the megacities. This is all part of their system to take control of the local environment, using ICLEI to influence and to take over and to control through their Delphi techniques, city council meetings. This is not, the local people have no say in this. This is an international operation where FEMA is holding $1.5 billion in funding to rebuild paradise, if they don't go along and play the game. This is how they roll, folks. They're doing it all over the cities here, and we can see this. And hats off to Rosa Koire, man. This lady's done some yeoman's work. She was a retired forensic commercial real estate appraiser specializing in eminent domain. She wrote this great book called Behind the Green Mask, exposing what was going on here in Santa Rosa back in 2010 and following through exactly what has happened. Her 28-year career with the California Department of Transportation as an expert witness on land use has culminated in exposing the impacts of sustainable development of private property rights and individual liberties. All right, in closing here, I just want to get into this document provided by Deborah Tavares and Lou Tavares at StopTheCrime.net. It's a white paper about understanding sustainable development. And here you see the pictures, the biodiversity zone. See everything in red, folks? That's where they don't want people. That's where people aren't going to exist. They're going to see up in Idaho, up in California, right where the buttes are. There's not going to be people. There are going to be buffer zones to protect against the people invading their private, bring the land back. It's all about nature. They're calling it nature needs protection. You know, climate change. What is climate change? It's such a stupid word because the climate's always changing. So here that Deborah Tavares gets into this document, which I'll put in the records here. You can look through it. But as you scroll down, you're going to notice the term sustainable development. They come up with all these terms as they influence. You see the Agenda 21 here, United Nations for Sustainable Development, like they really give a shit about us. They don't. We're just chattel. We're just cattle. But here, the philosophy of rights. So from their source, Individual Rights, Declaration of Independence, we can protect the natural or unalienable rights of each individual, being the author of our own authority. That all men are created equal. They're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Well, the community rights, written by the UN Declaration of Human Rights, is to control the individual for the greater good of the global community. Global community. Rights and freedoms may in no case be exercised contrary to the purpose and principles of the United Nations. Who's taken the power? And then on individual rights, you were born with rights. Government exists to protect them. You and the product of your labor belong to them. No, under the UN Declaration of Human Rights, government grants, restricts, or withdraw your rights according to its needs. You and the product of your labor belong to the community. How does that make you feel when you're just only a part of? No, we have unalienable rights. They cannot take us if we declare be the author of our authority. And then it keeps going on where they come up with all these cute little terms like environment, equity, and economy. Do you see anything with the terms people in any of this? Humans? It doesn't exist because they don't include humans in the conversation. It's sustainable development, and they use nature, restructure human nature because they have to have social justice, and they come up with all these cute terms like that. And then there's the international redistribution of wealth and the creation of public-private partnerships. According to Maurice Strong, who was the Secretary General for the UN Conference on Environmental Development in 1992, the international redistribution of wealth and the creation of public-private partnerships, current lifestyles and consumption patterns of the affluent middle class involving high meat intake, use of fossil fuels, appliances, home and work air conditioning, and suburban housing are not sustainable. You see where they're going with this, folks? They're taking away all our rights. They're burning us out. They're rebuilding it into these unsustainable stack and packums where everybody's going to be in the cities, and then the wealthy are going to have their enclaves in Paradise, Bohemian Grove, wherever they want. And they're claiming dominion over the entire United States and making these biodiversity zones where few people can exist. This is all being implemented right now, folks. It's right in our face. And are you going to stay silent because it's not happened to you yet? Well, I guarantee you it's on the agenda that it's going to happen to everyone in this country. They put nature above man. They put the rights of nature above man. They put that they're going to control the education of youth. They're going to take over this rest of our world by rebuilding according to their design, of which they've already stated and which they already are implementing, and that they're going to own the entire government, entire population of people by telling them they're restricted in where they can go and what they can do, and getting them out of cars, autonomous cars, taking away their power. Here in California, they're making us put on solar panels on our homes. They're making us have batteries in the garages. They're telling us that we can no longer build with gas. We've got to be all electric. This is all part of their agenda to get us into these stack and pack-ems to be controlled. And there's many of these stack and pack-em homes that are 250 square feet that are going along the smart trains that are being built around here, right next to the smart train lines. You can see it happening here as there's thousands and thousands and thousands of homeless growing every day because people simply cannot afford to live here. And that's the same thing. We just had a flood here in Santa Rosa as well, in Guerneville. These people are not moving back in. The water is contaminated. New building codes. You're going to have to put solar panels, so the building cost is going to be ridiculous. And it's probably not a good idea to have them build, flood, and rebuild. You see where this is going? Time is short. Speak out. Speak your truth. Plain truth out. Catch the next video. Peace and love one another always.